Okay, good morning. Thanks once again for joining us here at the Network Breakfast. It's Tuesday morning, and we're going to talk about the 10 things you should not do on the internet. But before we do that, we're going to let our participants, our members, our friends tell us who they are and what they do, and we'll take a few minutes to do that, okay? So first thing we're going to let up is we're going to do the lovely and talented Trina Gigax. Trina, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Trina. My company is Fresh Eyes Reading and The Pooch Writer, my new section devoted strictly to dogs. And well, I might do some horses. So I'm a copy editor. And what I do is I work with your words or your marketing person or your writer and go through it from the eyes of the reader to make sure that it's clear and concise and you've gotten rid of any extra phrasing and wording and anything that would sort of trip up the reader, and so the reader wouldn't get the message as clearly. And there's a lot of ways you can do that with copy editing. And then once the message is clear and concise and easy to read and digestible, then you have a much better piece of writing for your reader to read. So that's what I do. Trina Gigax, Fresh Eyes Reading, and The Pooch Writer.
Excellent. Thank you, Trina. And if you go to the Network Breakfast channel on YouTube, please look up Trina Gigax's presentation she gave a couple of months ago. And it was very informative, and we all got a kick out of it. And she's very good, and we're glad she's here. Thank you, Trina. Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to say good morning to Chris Walters. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Walters with See-Through Windows. I provide vinyl replacement windows, new construction windows, patio doors, and glass block. I go take a look at every house that we quote, and within 24 hours you have a quote, and we cover a territory from Sandusky to the Pennsylvania border, Cleveland to Canton. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Chris, and thanks for being here. Next, we're going to
Chris, would you put your contact information in the chat box?
Sure.
Next, we're going to welcome Mike Bentley. We're so happy to see him this morning. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, all. I'm Mike Bentley, and I'm from the Brooks and Stafford Company, and I specialize in assisting those who are Medicare age or those who are retiring with their health care needs. I work in multiple states, and I work with no fee. My services are no cost to you. And for example, over the past week, I've worked with a couple in Georgia, an individual in Punta Gorda, Florida, and someone locally, a couple ready to retire in Highland Heights. So if you're confused about Medicare or individual coverage in the marketplace, please feel free to contact me for free consultation. I'm Mike Bentley from the Brooks and Stafford Company.
Great. Thank you, Mike, and thanks for being here. And now, if it's okay with her, we're going to introduce Judy. And if it's okay, Judy, you go ahead and give us a minute of what you do. And we're so happy you're here. Thank you, Judy.
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you for this warm welcome. I feel like I've just joined a family. But I'm Judy Ballinger, and I'm a freelance business writer. Trina and I do not overlap, in case you're worried about that. But I have proofread something for Trina. I think she proofread something for me too. Mostly I focus on blogging for websites, but I do any kind of writing. And usually what happens once I start blogging for a company, then they want to know, I have to do an email marketing letter. Would you do that for me? People who are getting ready to do a trifold brochure, or I work with a lot of web designers because I write the web content. I think that pretty well describes what I do. Judy Ballinger, right words, written right, written now.
Wow. Thank you, Judy. It's so great to have you here. Thanks a lot. We're going to move on, and we're going to hear from Judy's good friend, Jeff Hexter. Good morning, Jeff.
I'm Jeff Hexter with Always Keep Computing. I work with professionals who are working from their homes, who are stuck with their technology issues and have run out of people to call. So when their printers aren't printing, their Wi-Fi is weird, and their TVs don't stream their channels or their Zoom calls are stuttery. People call me for help. An example of this weird stuff that I've dealt with is last week I had a client his multifunction HP printer was trying to send faxes, and it would fail to send after the 4th page, no matter what was going on. So we troubleshot that by taking the fax machine, his printer, to another place with a working phone. We knew a working phone line, and it had the same issue on another working phone line. So we knew the problem was with his printer and not with the phone system. And he's now in the process of getting a replacement from HP. So I help people troubleshoot weird problems like that. Jeff Hexter, Always Keep Computing. We pull out our hair so you don't have to.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. And thanks again for being here. It's always good to see you. Yes, absolutely, Judy. Okay, and now we're going to introduce Rob Lord, and he'll tell us all about what's going on in his world in a minute. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, everyone. Rob Lord here. I am a financial advisor with Thrivent Financial. We view money as a tool and not a goal, which is very important for most people. Ever imagine trying to put a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle together, especially without the picture? No? Well, that's kind of what we help you do. Realize the picture we're trying to create and put the pieces in place so that we get the full puzzle to get you to your retirement and through your goals that you want to create. Rob Lord, Thrivent Financial.
Great. Thanks, Rob. Good analogy.
How was that, Trina? Is that pretty good?
That was great.
Very good. Thanks, Rob. And now we'd like to introduce Lee Jackson. We're happy to see you, Lee. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Lee Jackson. I'm with Jackson Consulting Services. And I just was wondering, does anybody know any out-of-the-box thinkers, any innovators, people willing to try new and different things, new ways to generate revenue, new ways to generate new business? How about saving on expenses? Leaders and executives with imagination, people who want to change their paradigm. At Jackson Consulting Services, these are the people that I have traditionally worked with to help grow their businesses. Now, though, I'm changing course. Instead of helping these people as an external consultant, I'm transitioning to do the same thing from the inside. I'm looking for a full-time self-employed position that will leverage my experience in the healthcare world, healthcare management world, and my network. I'd love to have a conversation with these creative thinkers, executives, and leaders. I'm confident that our joint spirit could become successful, long-lasting relationships. If you know any of these kind of leaders, I'd appreciate a referral. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Lee. Thanks for being here. And our good friend is last but not least is Shalom Plotkin. Good morning, Shalom. We're so happy you're here.
Thank you, Tom, and happy almost Easter. And happy Passover to my friends as well. So we have an opportunity to continue to help seniors in their homes. That's what we're doing. Right at home means trying to look for the right care at the right time, the right place. Something that we were working on this week was looking for a caregiver for a woman who just moved back from Florida. It's warming up here. And her kids just needed a break on occasion. And she wants somebody to watch Cinderella with her. She loves to watch the same Disney movies over and over. And we're happy to do that and to keep her clean and dry. So that's an example of what we do. A good referral for me would be someone with loving and caring hands and patience to help my seniors, to help my clients to stay safe in their homes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Shalom. Thanks for being here. And at this time, I'm going to share the screen and put up what sometimes it doesn't go as nice as it should. Let me see here. Boom. Okay. This is how we'll start. 10 things you should never do online. That's what we're going to pick up now. We're happy everybody's here and going to pay close attention. Most of these things will probably you've thought about before, and because of Jeff and I, you've heard these before, but it never hurts to get reminded to freshen your skepticism about what you can do and not do online. We all make silly mistakes sometimes. We answer robocalls because the numbers do look awfully familiar. And maybe we click links we should have checked first and open spam emails. But everyone is vulnerable and can be caught off guard. It's what we do next that really counts. Do you believe the caller claiming to be an IRS employee use your credit card on a sketchy site or download files from a sender you don't recognize? We probably have all been confronted with those things. If you do, the consequences can be dire. That's why we've put together this list of 10 things you should never do online, along with the do-it-yourself security tips and reminders that we have to be vigilant with every click we make. Number one, don't fall for fake posts. We've said this before, but it's worth repeating. If you get an email solicitation to participate in a survey or for a money-making opportunity and you didn't sign up for it, don't click the links. Same goes for work from home gigs that seem just a little too good to be true. Open a browser window, Chrome, Safari, Firefox, or whatever you use, and search for the company name plus the word scam. Chances are, if it is a scam, someone else has reported it. For example, Walmart secret shopper scam, and this is the results. So you see that it's not real. Then you won't, now that you've checked it before you click it, now you won't get into danger. You won't wind up somewhere where you shouldn't be. If the email comes from what seems to be a real person, do a quick Google search or use one of these alternatives to Google. For example, I use DuckDuckGo. It's very secure and it may never overtake Google, but it is a very, very accurate. When you type in a query, it gives you a very good answer to your search. You're gonna search for the person's name plus the company name. If you have a LinkedIn account, go there and search for the person and company too. There's a smart way to, at the very least, confirm the person emailing you works for the company they claim to. Check that the person posts regularly and is connected to others. Those are signs of the profile is real and not just a front. And now it's a little advice from Kim. She has a free fraud and security alert newsletter. That's Kim Commando, which go out as soon as we learn about a hack. If something happens, you check with Kim Commando and she could let you know if that's a scam, a hack, a security breach. Or bookmark the FTC's consumer alert page. It's updated regularly. Federal Trade Commission. Number two, don't skip two-factor authentication. I'm as guilty of this. Even as I was typing this up from Kim Commando's staff, I know that I always not do two-factor authentication, but these days, I guess we're just going to have to do it. And this reminded me to make sure to do that. Use two-factor authentication anytime a website or app offers it. Yes, it involves a couple of extra steps, but the purpose is to protect you if someone tries to access your accounts from a device the website doesn't recognize. Anyone who uses Facebook is already familiar with 2FA. If you use a work, public, friend, or family's computer or a new device to sign in, Facebook requires you to verify that it's really you using 2FA. This is a no-brainer for any financial account, and we recommend it for your email and any service that has your payment info too. So the advice is use 2FA or two-factor authentication authenticator app to protect your online accounts and cell phone number. Boom. Don't use passwords or don't reuse passwords or password formulas. You'd never use a password like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I remember when we were at Corky's, I had a million different things. That was my password. I was as guilty or more guilty than anybody. And you would think I would do the right thing. So now I'm going to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, or password. If you don't use a password manager, how do you remember them all? I think Jeff recommended a password manager. What was the name of that, Jeff?
I use LastPass, which recently changed some of their policies, but I pay for it now. It's not that much money.
And I use Dashlane.
Very similar.
Okay, and it keeps track of all your passwords. And then this way you only have to remember the one to get into that. Okay. Okay. So you don't write them down, store them on your computer, or reuse them, do you? So how do you safely store passwords so you don't have to memorize them? We don't recommend you use password formulas that are easy to hack, like website plus birth date, as in Google 1225 or Adobe 1225 or Facebook 12. You could see how easy that would be to crack. So the advice is use a safe and secure password manager, which our folks here have just given you some examples. You can try a free password generator, which gives you crazy, impossible to hack or memorize passwords and then you could see that for yourself, or let your browser do the work for you. And it will put one in that it looks like that one that's typed there. It's just a ridiculous password and you don't have to remember it because your browser will remember it, or you put it in your password manager. Don't use public Wi-Fi. We know saying don't use public Wi-Fi is like saying don't go out in public. It's impossible. But you really should be careful about what you do on a public network. Save the banking for a trusted network and be careful about the sites you visit and the links you click. Your best bet, though, is to use a VPN. For example, if you go to Panini or one of them other places, or I guess even Wendy's and McDonald's offer Wi-Fi now, that's not the place to do your banking unless you use a VPN, a virtual private network, which creates an encrypted connection through a secure server that allows you to browse the internet. Businesses have been using VPN technology for years, and more private users are adopting them as well. Whenever I do anything that I really need secure, I have a VPN. I use IPVanish. Jeff, which one do you use?
I use Windscribe VPN.
Okay. And
Usually
I'm sure that's
Canada
excellent.
or something like that.
Okay. And for example, here's how VPNs work. There you are with your remote computer on the left. And there's the internet that's unsafe. And what happens is the VPN creates a secure tunnel where your information comes and goes to your private network. So no one can see it. The information is encrypted on both sides. That's about how it works. All right, number 5, don't fight on social media where you're going back and forth with somebody you disagree with on religion, politics, favorite car, favorite band, favorite song. Time and time again, research shows social media makes us depressed, angry, and isolated. During the pandemic, we believed social media would bring us together, but really, we got sucked into scrolling through endless timelines, comments, and arguments. So a little advice is, if you can't break up with Facebook, meaning stop, Twitter, Instagram, or whatever channel monopolizes your time and incites the scrapper in you, use common sense. Don't post anything that you wouldn't want your grandmother to see or that could come back and haunt you when you look for a job, or some website could post as an example of what not to do online. Plus, you might lose your car. I got an example here, like this girl almost did when her parents saw her complain about the car they bought for her. So there she gets this car and she goes online and types in Emily, whatever her last name is, would never buy a car that wasn't American. You'll see now Sarah, her friend, says, you drive a Volvo. And Emily, whose car was purchased for her by her parents, yeah, but my parents bought it. And then her father, Joe, says, Emily, if that's how you feel, maybe we can just sell it and you could walk to school. So don't argue online. Don't put all your dirty laundry out there. It's going to come back to haunt you. That's a cute little story. Number 6, don't post sensitive photos online. Speaking of not posting anything that could haunt you later, we're talking about things that may seem innocent, like photos of your kids or grandkids. There's a whole conversation on the internet about whether or not parents should post photos of their kids online and share them publicly. In 20 years, will your children thank you for sharing their private lives with the world? One woman even sued her mother and won after she refused to take down photos of her grandchild. Not to mention, child predators set up fake social media profiles and troll pages looking for innocent victims. So a little bit of advice: change your privacy settings on Facebook, Twitter, and Google so only your closest contacts can see your pictures. If you had kids at home, don't share full names or specific locations. Share with other people you actually know. Check with other parents before sharing photos of their kids, and wipe out hidden data from photos. Don't post vacation photos or updates while you're gone. Yeah, most of us are sticking close to home this summer, but if you do venture out for a road trip or even just a day away, think twice before you post. It's so tempting to share in-the-moment updates and pictures while you're on vacation. Think of these as public announcements that say, I'm out of town. My house is empty. Go burglarize me. Wait until you get back home and post your photos after the fact. A little advice would be, if you've got a home alarm system like from Simply Safe, which is one of the easier ones and inexpensive, you can monitor your property and get alerts when you're away. Thieves are less likely to break into homes that are protected by alarms, cameras, and motion sensors. Simply Safe.
Or if you visited the Capitol in Washington on January 6th, you probably regretted that you posted your photos on social media.
Yes, they're regretting it, yes. But the outcome is yet to be decided. Simply Safe is easy to install without having to call a professional. We'll move on. Never diagnose yourself on WebMD or similar sites. Let's say you have a persistent cough. When you searched online, you diagnosed yourself with pneumonia, tuberculosis, lung cancer, heart disease, acid reflux, and chronic bronchitis. After all, those conditions share similar symptoms. You're freaked out. Sites like WebMD, Mayo Clinic, and guess what? Cleveland Clinic are packed full of good, reliable information, but that doesn't mean they should replace your doctors. It's even more dangerous to use YouTube to look for medical information. Just like how conspiracy theory videos can dominate political searches on YouTube, health misinformation can climb to the top of your recommended videos and searches. So the advice would be, leave the diagnosing to medical professionals. Use those medical reference sites to learn more about what your doctors tell you, and always consult with your doctor before beginning any medical treatment, or consider setting up a virtual appointment. Don't drunk shop online. Have you ever fired up your browser after a glass of wine or two? Apparently, drunk shopping is a billion-dollar industry on Amazon. A 2019 survey showed 79% of alcohol consumers have made at least one drunk purchase. Clothing and shoes are the most common drunk purchase. Advice: set up spending alerts with your bank. Most banks will allow you to set a dollar amount, and if you go over that amount, you'll get a text message or email. That way, when you sober up in a few hours and check your messages, you'll have time to cancel your orders. As a bonus, if someone gets hold of your credit or bank card and makes purchases, you'll get alerts if they go over your limit. Don't take quizzes online, especially on Facebook. If you're logged into a website and take one of those tempting quizzes like, Which friend's character is your soulmate? You're potentially handing over personal information about you. When you take these quizzes, you're helping websites create profiles about you so they can sell your information and target you with advertisements. And some quiz sites are downright sketchy. You never know who's watching, what your type, or what could happen when you hit submit. So some advice would be, aside from the obvious, don't take a Facebook quiz. There are steps you can take to disable third-party app access to your personal information. And that, I'm giving special thanks to the Commando staff, commando.com, and especially Kim Commando. So thank you for your kind attention. And now we could take questions, and we'll talk about what we've done online. So I'll open it up to the
Hey, Tom,
yes.
those Facebook quizzes, but that's not when a lot of people put a little survey or a quiz themselves. Like, which picture do you like more? What color? What's your favorite snack? So, you know, they're trying to get conversation going on Facebook with just comments. So those are safe. Are you talking about a quiz that it takes you to an external place that it loads a quiz?
Yeah, well, if you're clicking on a link that goes to a quiz, I think is what they mean. The quiz isn't actually on Facebook. It's, if you click it, you'll go to a page that has a quiz on it. And that would be dangerous to fill that in. So if you see you've been redirected, or if you have your status bar enabled, I'm not sure if anybody does that anymore, but there's what's known as a status bar, and it appears on all the browsers, and it'll allow you to put your mouse over the link, and when it turns into the hand, without clicking, just leave your mouse there and look to the lower left of your browser, and it'll tell you the address you'll be going to if you click. And if it's not a secure address, then certainly don't click it. I used to try to think that I could, all those IQ tests that used to be online, man, I took 10 of them a day. My IQ never went up, but it was fun bidding myself against who they thought were smart, like Einstein at 160. Anybody have a 160 IQ? Show of hands. No. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing, and this way we're back to this.
But some of those quizzes, Tom,
Yeah.
and I'm going back to my law enforcement experience here. Some of those quizzes are just people, looks like somebody just put it up there. Like, what's your example, steak or seafood, favorite color? And it does try to elicit conversation, but it's also going through some of your secret question answers that you have when you log into websites.
Never thought of that.
Yeah. What's your first dog's name? What street did you grow up on?
Oh, sure.
What's your favorite color?
Yeah. Is your birthday?
So that is a phishing tool for the people to try to get some of those security questions from you, find out more about you. So I do not participate in those.
No, you're better off not to. But if I'm correct in saying, the ones that are set up that want to gather information, they're going to have a little different
link,
look
yes,
than the person who is just friendly and wants to get conversation. It's not set up in a format that looks like a web designer did it, or it's not 3 questions in a row, 4 questions in a row. It's more of a back and forth. Somebody just wants to know what your favorite pie is. I don't think that's dangerous. You can't get
The other thing that I think is safe that I see a lot of is there'll be a picture of, well, this one was recent, where there's a whole bunch of pandas and they say, can you find the clown or something? And you have to, and then you say, oh, in the lower right-hand corner. I mean, that's just fine, right? There's no problem with those.
Right, because they're not getting any information. They're seeing if you recognize something on the screen. Yeah. But the idea of, I always think of Mike when I read that paragraph that said, don't put up pictures when you're out of town and you put up pictures of where you are, the burglars know where you ain't.
No,
And
I see people do
And
that
Mike's
all
out
the
of town.
They do it when they're at the airport. Hey, I'm on my way to Tampa.
Yeah, it's a picture
They're
of the
not even gone yet, but their house is empty.
Yeah. So I thought of Mike when I'm typing that up, and because he's here. I never know if he's here or not. So I would never burglarize Mike's house.
I have a related don't do online thing that relates to the telling people when you're not home. I have a neighbor, I won't name any names, who sold something using, I think it was Craigslist, and he told the person he didn't want to meet at the house. Can we meet at the parking lot at this local place? He showed up at the parking lot, and while he was there, they burgled his house.
Oh my.
Oh,
So this was years ago, but as long as they know you're not home.
mhm.
Right.
Unless there's somebody else at the house. I mean, there could have been a wife at the house or.
There wasn't. He was the
Okay.
child, and he clearly they knew that his relatives weren't home.
Yeah.
So you
I
just-
mean, I've met people at public places to buy or sell items, but we do it offline. We talk on the phone and say, I'll meet you like I bought a lamp. I met the guy in the Target parking lot because I wanted to be around a lot of people.
Yeah, that was
But
good.
he didn't know where I lived.
That was good.
Right. And
These days, you don't want to be around a lot of people.
Most police departments have a spot in their parking lot for these types of exchanges. They advertise it.
wonderful.
It's under video surveillance.
Oh,
So you don't even have to go inside. You just pull in the parking lot. There's usually a sign up there,
I didn't know
and
that.
you can do the exchange right there.
Oh, that's fabulous. I didn't,
Yeah, that's amazing.
I guess if
Yep.
you call your local police department, you can find out if they have one,
Yeah.
an area.
Yes.
Oh, I'm
yeah.
gonna do
Especially with
that.
our defund the police going around the country, they'll probably have less police watching over us, even their own parking lot.
Yeah, because about a year ago, I
Yeah.
found out you could drop off your old prescriptions to police departments. And now
Yeah.
I take all of them there.
Yep.
Right, I know. That's what we do. Yeah. Don't put them in down the garbage.
They
And
also
report.
accept old guns and stuff. A lot of times when there's a death in the family, like their father passed away and he has some guns and they don't want anything to do with it, or their wife doesn't want anything, call the police. They'll come pick them up, or you can just drop them off there, no questions asked. I mean, they'll take your name and stuff just and we'll run the serial numbers through the system, make sure they're not stolen or something. But then those guns they're not resold, they're melted down at the steel mill.
Yeah. Well,
Tom, that was a great presentation. I got so
Yeah.
much of it. Thank you.
yeah, thank you. I know that most of us know these things, but it never hurts to hear them again and to hear that somebody's asking you to pay attention, because certainly we want everybody to be safe and not. I mean, there were horror stories that were hooked onto this story that I didn't include in the presentation. But just know that there are people all the time that click on links they shouldn't, and who open emails. Viruses and Trojans and malware and crimeware and all that ransomware. It can come in on graphics. That's why good email clients will block all images unless you allow them, because you can get your computer infected. And I've had more than one customer call me and say, Tom, I wonder if I can get my $249 back. The FBI says they've locked my computer and I couldn't get it back unless I paid the $249. So I paid it and I still don't have control of my computer. Honest, I can't believe what they were telling me. She said that she actually gave them, the person that called, she clicked a link, and on the link was a phone number to pay. And she actually, just to get her computer back in order, she gave them her account number and her routing number to the bank.
Oh my God.
Oh
And they
my
went
God.
in, fortunately, they took $249. And
Oh.
then when I got there, I said, we have to call the bank and change your routing and account numbers, because they probably because they didn't give you back your computer, they probably will try to take some more later or tomorrow. When they think that your computer's on and you're not paying attention, they'll start draining you. But I'm surprised they didn't empty the
Yeah.
account.
I'd be concerned that they didn't leave some type of software on that computer hidden so they have access in the future.
Well, that could be. And the way you would prevent that is by changing your login. You would change your email password. You would change your user account control on the machine, whereby anybody tries to do anything coming in, it would be flagged, and you would get a pop-up. And you type in user account in your search, and you'll get that area. And usually it's a slide. Man, I'm using the wrong hand. It's a slide, and it's usually around in the middle. If you bump it up one because you think you're compromised, things can't come in. So if they did, like Rob says, put a little bit of a cookie or a little app on your machine that allows them in at any time, something coming in would, if you raise your user account control level, it will pop up on the machine, and you'll have to say, hey, do you really want these people to come in? And then you say yes or no, depending on if you know who that was. So there's things you could do and things to be aware of, but mainly don't click on any emails that you don't know who they came from. I remember Ari saying that profusely while we were still over at Corky's, and he gets an email in that he doesn't know where it's from. Doesn't matter. He'll delete it because it could be dangerous. And we certainly don't want that. We want everybody to be safe, especially our little group here. We want everybody to be safe.
There's ways to check your emails to see if it's where it's actually from too.
Sure.
You know, it might seem like it's from somebody from a company you recognize or an association you're with, but it's been hacked. And yeah, there's a way to go through it that I know our company trains us on that and sends us test emails to see if we catch it or not.
Yeah.
Is there
Oh.
a way of getting rid of a spammer on a text message? So I have repeatedly been getting a person that's scamming or spamming, I'm not sure which, to me for a long time, and I just delete it. I never open it, but I delete it, but it's getting more. So now there's a pop-up thing on my phone or on that thing that says you can report it as a spammer. I've recently been doing that. Is there anything else I can do to get rid of this person from continually?
Okay, these are emails or texts?
Text. This is the text. This is through a text.
Text. You could block that number.
But then it would still come through. I just wouldn't see it.
No, if you block that
you wouldn't
number,
even get it.
It wouldn't come into
You
your
wouldn't get it at all.
I had this issue actually yesterday, Lee, kind of similarly. I got 3 phone calls from 3 different names that I didn't recognize. They were all local numbers. And it was a recording which says, this is Officer so-and-so, whatever, from the Social Security Administration. And so what I did was I blocked each number as they came in, but they continued to call from other numbers that they were
robocalling
in the neighborhood.
Right. They choose one number and it comes back in again.
This guy that's doing it with me, originally what he was doing was that he had the wrong number and he was sending it to somebody else and happened to think I was that person. But it's persisted for a long enough period of time that it's just he just is doing it, and it's not. And I think it's a scam. But so I don't even open it. But it's just becoming annoying. So I'll try to block it, I guess, is the way to do it.
Who's your phone service?
Verizon.
Okay, because I have Sprint, and Sprint has a spam number blocker, and it's been working pretty good.
Does that spam reporter, does that mean anything, or is that a wasted thing? It pops up and it says if you get a number and it says you can report it. I don't even know where it's going or what it's doing, but I've done that.
Recognize that. Maybe Jeff would. Jeff, you recognize spam reporter?
I'm not familiar with that.
No, me neither.
Lee, I get a lot of spam calls, and I'm on Verizon, and it says potential spam. I won't even look at it.
Yeah.
I have a question. Oh, sorry, Judy, go ahead.
Now they're merged with T-Mobile. That means that probably has it too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
If you guys just buy that car warranty, you wouldn't have all these spam calls anymore.
What's the name of the scam blocker? I'm going to call T-Mobile today. What's it?
All right, let me see. I'll get the exact name of it. It's called Call Screener,
Okay.
but it says Sprint.
Yeah, but Sprint and T-Mobile merged, so
Yeah, hopefully they brought it over with them.
that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah,
So
I have a
This-
question about two-factor authorization.
sure.
I pay for a lot of things with PayPal, or I just am logging into my account because people pay me with PayPal.
Hmm.
And they constantly, almost always want me to, send me a text to my phone. Now, this is, my own PayPal account that I log into all the time. Do I really need to do that every time with PayPal? They always send a code to my phone and then they want me to put it in.
I think there's a box or something that you can remember this device if you want. But that is the two-factor authentication we're talking about. Because without that code, so if somebody's trying to hack your PayPal, they're not going to get that code.
It's probably because I log in on my laptop and my iPad and sometimes my phone. So
Yeah.
they're seeing that I use different devices.
Well, they're doing their job to protect you. So it might be
Okay.
annoying, but it is
Yeah.
protecting you, especially when it comes to finances.
Well,
was
yeah,
thinking-
because I always have to have my phone near me if they send that code.
Right.
Yeah.
was
So
just
I just
thinking-
read an article on this subject we had today, Tom, that one of the weakest spots where the most scams happen is through churches. Because if people go on their internet, their Wi-Fi while they're in the service or synagogue, if they have it there, and churches are the ones that usually spend the least amount on cybersecurity.
Sure.
So it's a weak link, and then you have all the directories, and then from that, phone numbers and emails of elderly people more susceptible to these scams and stuff.
Oh, this may be unrelated, but it's really important for me at least. When I log on to my bank, and even on my iPad, sometimes I'll go to put a credit card in when I buy something, and there's a little thing that comes up with like the last 4 digits. I don't ever want it, especially PNC, I don't want it to remember my login. And I haven't checked, and sometimes it just fills in that password, and I don't ever say, remember this login and password.
That
I want to
it's
disengage.
not the
that.
bank. If you said you don't want them to remember it, it's not the bank doing that. It's your browser. So what you need to do is get rid of your history and your cookies out of your browser. This way, you're telling the bank not to, then your browser won't either.
Show me
Okay.
tomorrow and I'll show you where to remove them.
Yeah, Jeff will take care of that and show you where that is.
Put that on my list, Jeff.
Trina, I was into PNC for another reason. And the branch manager told me that PayPal is the worst thing to use. She goes, I'll bet you in a week we get 7 or 8 scams on PayPal.
I did get scammed on PayPal, something I sold. Yeah.
Are you talking about like when I buy something from Amazon and it comes time to check out, they put a list of the last 4 digits of my account. And I always thought it was.
No, that's not where I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, good.
Because those you've registered with them.
Yeah.
But I'll be on my iPad, and right above where, like if you're typing and it'll suggest words for you, like a word that you want to fill in.
Right.
As soon as I go to put in a credit card, this thing pops up that says use like 0214 credit card. And I don't know how I have to turn that off because I don't want my iPad or any of my computers to remember a credit card.
I've never had that. Wow.
Well, you can
Jeff,
do
the
the same
amazing
thing on
Jeff
your
and Tom
iPad.
will find it.
You go into your settings and you can get rid of all of that in your iPad too. Safari,
Okay.
delete all your history and your cookies. Yeah, you should do that.
Okay.
Okay, it's not as though we have to go, but I'm going to stop the recording for our YouTube friends, but we can all stick around and keep talking. I'm just going to wind it up for the Network Breakfast channel I'm going to say, we'll see you next Tuesday morning. And the rest of us, we're going to stay here and talk for a few minutes.